بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. First of all, I'd like to apologize to everyone, a sincere apology for being late, and also I know there was some mishap in the US regarding timing, but alhamdulillah we're here now. This is a unique opportunity for us to hear one of the leading scholars in the world, Fadilatul Shaykh Abdullah bin Bayyah, and also one of the most influential Islamic scholars in the West, Shaykh Hamza Yusuf. And this opportunity is hosted by Imams Online. I am senior editor of Imams Online, Qari Muhammad Asim. And Imams Online is about amplifying the voices of Imams across the country. And it is a kind of little miracle we were talking about earlier, that how we have Shaykh Abdullah bin Bayyah in the Maghrib, and then Shaykh Hamza Yusuf in California, and then myself in the UK, and we all coming together to listen to the words of wisdom from Shaykh Abdullah bin Bayyah, who's known as Shaykh al-Fattah, the one who has the ability to present the complicated issues into a very easily accessible language. And as we are currently facing an unprecedented challenge globally, unprecedented time filled with unprecedented challenges, we are really honored to have the scholar of the scholars, who's also the president of the Forum for Promoting Peace in Muslim societies, but also recently launched the Alliance of Virtues, a statement signed by religious leaders of various traditions, showing support to each other, but also saying that we are all together in tackling and defeating coronavirus. Alhamdulillah, the Shaykh does not need any introduction. I've met Shaykh, I had the honor of meeting the Shaykh many times, and what I'm really struck by is the humility, despite the inspiration that he brings to the room. The humility is overwhelming, and that is a true sign of a great scholar of Islam. And then Shaykh Hamza Yusuf doesn't need any introduction. Alhamdulillah, it's very interesting. I was thinking earlier that when we had 7/7 in the UK, and it was very difficult, extremely challenging time for British Muslims, Shaykh Hamza Yusuf came to the UK to talk to British Muslims, to inspire them and help them to be firm on the straight path, Islam. The co-founder and president of Zaytunia College in California, and also the mentee and disciple of Shaykh Abdullah bin Bayyah. So we'd like to start with Shaykh Abdullah bin Bayyah regarding how do we tackle the current coronavirus, especially Ramadan in the lockdown. So فضيلة الشيخ شيخ عبد الله بن بيّة تفضل. فضيلة الشيخ تفضل.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
حياكم الله أستاذ قاري حاصل.
لا تنسينا في الدعاء شيخ.
بارك الله فيك. والسلام عليكم أخي وحبيبي شيخ حمزة، حفظك الله. دكتور حمزة.
السلام، الله يبارك فيك شيخ.
لكن لا تزيدك هذه الدال. الحمد لله.
الله يبارك فيك.
الله يحفظك. بمناسبة الشهر، أول شيء نقول الحمد لله رب العالمين، ونصلي ونسلم على سيدنا ومولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم صل عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما. ثم بعد ذلك السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. نسأل الله لنا ولكم التوفيق، ونهنئكم بمقدم هذا الشهر المبارك الذي كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فيه يهنئ أصحابه فيقول أتاكم شهر رمضان شهر مبارك فرض الله عز وجل عليكم صيامه تفتح فيه أبواب السماء وتغلق فيه أبواب الجحيم وتغل فيه مردة الشياطين لله فيه ليلة خير من ألف شهر من حرم خيرها فقد حرم. الحديث أخرجه النسائي وأحمد في مسنده وغيرهما. بعد هذه التهنئة التي هي تهنئة لجميع المسلمين، نقول إن شهر رمضان في هذه السنة جاء في وضع غير مسبوق، نشهد فيه أزمة عالمية كبيرة، وهي أزمة تؤثر في وجوب العبادات وفي كيفية أدائها أيضا. ولأجل ذلك ربما يكون من المناسب أن يكون حديثنا عن الرخص. لقد أثرت هذه الأزمة التي تسمى بكورونا في العبادات. بالأمس كان الكلام عن الصلاة وعن الاجتماع للصلاة وعن الجماعات والجمع، فرخص العلماء بأن تؤدى الصلاة في البيوت، وأن تؤدى الصلاة أن يؤديها الناس فرادى وليسوا في جماعة، وكذلك أن تؤدى الجمعات في البيوت، لكنها تؤدى ظهرا وليس بكيفية الجمعة المعهودة، لا خطبة فيها ولا إتمام للصلاة ولا قصر للصلاة، لا تقصر الصلاة على ركعتين، وإنما هي صلاة تامة ظهر تام. اليوم يحل رمضان ومعه هذا الوضع الذي لم ينقشع بعد، لم تخلع هذه الأزمة لباسها ولم تنقشع غيمتها السوداء، ولم ينكشف ضبابها، ما زالت جاثمة على البشرية. نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يكشفها وأن يكشف العذاب. فلها أحكامها فيما يتعلق بالصيام، وفيما يتعلق بالتراويح، وفيما يتعلق بالعيد، فيما يتعلق بالعادات أيضا، بعادات التجمع عند الإفطار والتجمع عند السحور، كل ذلك يتأثر اليوم. فعلينا أن نبحث للناس عن أيسر السبل وأسهلها وأفضل المسالك وأنبلها، فديننا يسر وسبيله سهل. ولعلكم جميعا تعرفون أن مع العزيمة رخصة، فالرخص في مقام الشدة والضيق أمر معروف. أجمله الشافعي رحمه الله تعالى في قوله: الأمر إذا ضاق اتسع. وفي القواعد الفقهية المشقة تجلب التيسير، استنباطا من نصوص الكتاب والسنة. إن مع العسر يسرا، إن مع العسر يسرا، وما جعل عليكم في الدين يسروا ولا تعسروا، إن الله يحب أن تؤتى رخصه كما يحب أن تؤتى عزائمه. هو حديث رواه أحمد بن حبان وابن خزيمة والبيهقي. شيخ حمزة أتوقف لك.
نعم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد. الشيخ Abdallah bin Bayyah, حفظه Allah, he said, first of all, just greetings of peace to everybody after prayers and peace upon the Prophet ﷺ, and beginning in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he greeted Qari Asim and also the Imams who have supported this Imam on lines. And then just again reiterating prayers and peace on the Prophet ﷺ. And then congratulating all of you on the coming of Ramadan. And the Shaykh said that it was a sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ that he would congratulate his companions when the month came, and he would remind them that this is a month in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has opened up the gates of heaven and closed the gates of hell, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has also locked up those shayateen and also the rebellious jinn during this time, that they're shackled during this time, so much more limited than what's normal. And he also said that the Prophet ﷺ, in a hadith that Imam al-Nasa'i and others, Imam Ahmad related, that when he greeted them, he reminded them that this was a month that had a night in it that was worth 1,000 nights of worship, which is a great blessing to this ummah. But he said also there's a cloud over the Muslims in the coming of Ramadan, which is this coronavirus, and this is a calamitous event that due to the critical nature of it, it's actually affected the very nature of the obligation of some of our devotional practices, and also the way in which we actually perform them. And so the Shaykh said that it's probably, given the circumstances that we find ourselves in, that it would seem appropriate to talk about the nature in what the usuli scholars, the scholars of usul al-fiqh, call rukhas, which the rukhas are the licenses or the dispensations that are allowed in certain times. And so he said that the coronavirus, this COVID-19, has really necessitated that the scholars look at the rukhas, or these licenses in this situation. And he said just yesterday with some of the muftis, they had concluded that it's now people should not be congregating for prayer, and they should also, this is affecting the Jum'ah, so they should not do their Jum'ah. And he said that the rukhsa then is that people should say their prayers in their homes, and actually in the adhans they're telling people to pray in their homes, and this is also a sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ to do that when there's difficulties. And he said that you still pray Jum'ah because that's the nature of Friday, but the Jum'ah in this case is prayed as a normal dhuhr, but you'll get the reward with that intention of what would normally be that. So he said that you do not shorten the prayer, there's no khutbah, and you pray the Jum'ah prayer, the fard of Jum'ah, you pray it as dhuhr in your home and complete that. He said that, you know, we're going to be fasting, the month is upon us, and that while Corona can't change the nature of the month and the spiritual reality of the month, undeniably, it's really put this, it's dampened the conditions for the Muslims and cast this dark cloud, not just over the Muslims, but over the whole world. And the Shaykh asked that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would remove it. And he said that the coronavirus is going to affect the nature of the month for us. One of the most beautiful aspects of the month of Ramadan is the tarawih prayers, where Muslims congregate in the mosques and pray tarawih. And he said this is not, people are going to pray in their homes. And even the Eid and the Eid prayer will be affected. And also suhoor and iftar, where traditionally Muslims very often invite other people and they congregate. So these aspects of Ramadan are going to be affected. And this is where we have to understand the nature of the rukhsa, because in these situations, every ruling in Islam has an azima, and then it has a rukhsa. So the azima is taking the strongest position and fulfilling it based on that. But the rukhsa is used when difficulties arise. And Imam Shafi'i radiallahu anhu said in a famous principle that's used by the fuqaha, that if any situation, al-amru idha daqat tasa', if any situation becomes constricted, then by the very nature of that constriction, it has to be expanded. And so it's expanded through the rukhsa, or through the license. And also there's a very important qaida in our tradition that says al-mashaqqatu tajlibu at-taysir, which is that difficulties demand or necessitate facilitation. So whenever there's a great difficulty, that it demands that the fuqaha look to how they can make ease for the people. The Quran reminds us in the usri yusra, that surely with hardship is ease. It's reiterated twice. The Quran also says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants ease for you and doesn't want hardship. So it's very important that we remember these things. Also, Imam Ahmad and others relate a hadith that Allah actually loves for his servant to take the rukhas, the licenses, over the difficulties. So this is something that it's in the mercy of Allah that he enables things to happen. He did not, the Quran says that he didn't put any hardship, haraj, in this religion for you. So it's important that we keep these in mind, and these are the times when these very principles are meant to be implemented.
طبعا السلام عليكم مرة أخرى.
عليكم السلام.
نتحدث عنه الآن هو الترخص في ترك الصيام لمرضى الكورونا. كثير من الناس يسألون عن مرضى الكورونا، هل هم مرضى أو الكوفيد، يعني هذا زائر الذي سماه الناس باسمه، يعني قالوا سموه، هل هو سمى به نفسه؟ سماه بكوفيد 19. على كل حال الله أعلم باسمه وبحالته وبكيفية انتهائه. نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن ينزل أن يعلم الناس الدواء، لأنه ما أنزل داء إلا أنزل معه دواء، وهذا يجعلنا نتفاعل ونبحث علميا. لكن أنا أعتقد أنكم جميعا تهتمون بالمرضى هؤلاء، هل هم مرضى يفطرون أو لا يفطرون. الذي نذهب إليه في هذا الزمن بأن من ظهرت عليه أعراض الكورونا وهو مريض يدخل في قوله تعالى: فمن كان منكم مريضا أو على سفر فعدة من أيام أخرى. حقيقة المرض قائمة فيه. وهذا مهم جدا. وكان بعض علماء السلف كالبخاري ومحمد بن سيرين وعطاء كما ذكره البخاري وإسحاق بن راهويه أيضا كما يبدو من كلام البخاري وربيعة بن أبي عبد الرحمن كما يبدو من كلام مالك رحمه الله تعالى. كل هؤلاء كانوا يعتبرون مجرد المرض موجبا للإفطار، لأنه يجيز الإفطار، فلا يسألون عن شدته أو خفته، بل المرض الخفيف عندهم يجيز الإفطار. لماذا قلنا ذلك؟ قلنا ذلك إن هذا المرض مآلاته شديدة، وبالتالي الخفيف منه قد يؤدي إلى الكبير وقد يؤدي إلى الهلاك. ولهذا اعتمدنا في فتوانا هذه على ما ذكرته من علماء السلف، أي مجرد المرض، أي مجرد ظهور العلامات الأولى من هذا المرض كافية في جواز الصوم، في جواز الإفطار. فإن أخبر الطبيب بأنه بالصوم سيتفاقم المرض إلى أن يحصل منه هلاك أو شديد أذى، حينئذ يكون الفطر واجبا وليس جائزا، ينتقل من الجواز إلى الوجوب، حتى لا يقتل نفسه. ولا تقتلوا أنفسكم إن الله كان بكم رحيما. كذلك فإن الشيخ الكبير الهرم يشق عليه الصيام، فإنه يكتفي بالإطعام في هذه المرحلة. كبار السن الذين يشق عليهم الصوم يكتفون بالإطعام. أما التراويح فيجوز لكل أو يستحب لكل شخص أن يصليها في بيته ليؤم أفراد عائلته بما معه من القرآن إذا كان يحفظ شيئا من القرآن الكريم. أما الأصحاء فإن وجوب الصوم عليهم بينه الله ولا بيان بعد بيانه، كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبل. الأصحاء هؤلاء يصومون، لا يعتذرون بأنه يوجد مرض. المرض إذا لم ينزل بهم فهم أصحاء، وإذا لم يكن لديهم مرض آخر ولا كبر سن معه مشقته، هذه أمور يحتاج الناس إلى بيانه. تراويح تصلى في البيوت، تراويح صلاتها جماعة سنة، وبخاصة عند أبي حنيفة فهي عنده سنة مؤكدة. المالكية مستحبة، يعني التراويح في المساجد، لكن في البيوت أفضل إذا لم تعطل المساجد عند مالك، لأن عمر قال والتي ينامون عنها خير وأفضل، ينامون عنها. اعتبرها المالكية التي رواها مالك الموطأ اعتبروا أن معناها التي ينامونها عنها ويصلونها في بيوتهم، واعتبرها غيرهم كالحنفية التي ينامون عنها، أي أن التراويح جماعة ينبغي أن تصلى في الجزء الأخير من الليل. يعني هذه تفسيرات العلماء. لكن الآن الإنسان ليس مخيرا، لأنه يعيش في الحجر الصحي، فعليه أن يصلي في بيته لأن الضرورة تقتضي ذلك، حتى مشكلة العدوى. فعلى المسلمين أن يتفهموا في هذه الأمور، وعليهم أن لا تحملهم العاطفة، وهي عاطفة دينية التي لا نتهمها، لا نتهم عواطفهم الدينية الحسنة، لكن فقط على هذه العواطف أن نزنها تكون موزونة بالشرع، في حدود الشرع. الشيء الآخر هو أن الناس عليهم أن يكثروا من الدعاء والتضرع في شهر رمضان، وبخاصة في ليلة القدر، أن يرفع الله هذا الوباء، وأن يرحمنا ويرحم أهل الأرض. والشيء الثالث هو أن لا يتهم الناس الأقدار، مقادير. فالمقادير في أصلها خير، والإنسان محدود الرؤية، محدود القدرة على فهم الظواهر الكبرى التي تتجاوز حدود الإنسان. الإنسان يعرف الخير والشر في حدوده، لكن لا يعرف كيف يعرف الخير والشر، وقد تكون صورة الخير والشر واحدة، يعرفهما بالدوافع وبالمآلات. أضرب لكم مثلا بسيطا. هذا رجل يحرق الحشائش في بستان، قد يكون لصا يحرق الحرث، يهلك الحرث والنسل، وقد يكون صاحب البستان يقوم على بستانه فيحرق ما يضر منه. الصورة واحدة، لكن الدوافع، البواعث ليست واحدة، والمآلات ليست واحدة. هذا على مستوى الإنسان، صورة واحدة، لكن الخير يتعرف فيها من خلال الباعث ومن خلال المآلات. هذا في فضاء الإنسان. أما في الفضاء الرباني فالخير والشر والسبب والمآلات هذه كونية للكون كله، للجو والبر والبحر، فقط لا يتهم الإنسان مقادير الله سبحانه وتعالى. هكذا بسرعة أعطيتكم مثالا واحدا، والأمثلة كثيرة. السلام عليكم، جزاكم الله خيرا.
So, Shaykh said that, so to reiterate that we're looking at the rukhas in the time of Corona, and he says it's important to remember that, you know, these things come and go, this will dissipate. They've called it Corona, they've called it COVID-19, they give these names. did it name itself? It didn't name itself. These are names that humans are given, but Allah knows its real name because everything has a name. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that He didn't send down any disease, except He also sent down a cure for it. And this is why humans have to look for the cure. So given that people get sick from this, an important question is, what's the ruling of the fasting on people who are sick? The Quran says that whoever is sick or on a journey, then they can take other days to fast. They don't have to fast during that time. And the opinion of Imam al-Bukhari and Muhammad bin Sirin and Ata and Ibn Rawaheh and others of the great ulama, and this was particularly Imam al-Bukhari who mentions some of these other opinions, said that simply being sick was enough to permit the breaking of the fast. And he said that that you didn't even have to ask whether it was a severe sickness or a light sickness, that simply being sick gives a permission to break the fast. And so we would say that, you know, people should not be asked about that. If they're sick, unwell, then they are permitted to break their fast. But if a doctor says that by fasting, that person will, the symptoms will become more severe, then in that case, it's no longer a question of permissibility. That patient is obliged to break his fast, because it's not permitted to harm yourself, and it's not permitted to expose yourself to destruction. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, do not destroy yourselves at your own hands, because, and in another verse Allah says, don't kill yourselves, Allah is merciful with you. And so because of that, it's very important for people, because this disease is a disease that indeed can have fatal consequences for people. So if a doctor tells them that they can't fast, then they have to listen to that. It becomes an obligation. In terms of old people who are particularly susceptible to this illness and the dangerous aspects of it, older people are permitted to feed in place of the fasting. So if somebody is elderly, then that again is a permissibility for them to do that. And in terms of tarawih prayer, tarawih is some of the Imams, Abu Hanifa in particular, is very strong about the sunnah inside the masjid, in the congregation, as a sunnah mu'akkada, that the Muslims should come together and congregate in the masajid and pray. And in the Hanafi countries, it's a very strong sunnah. The Shaykh said that in the Maliki madhab, it's actually preferred to pray in your home, and the man should lead his family in prayer, especially if he memorizes the Quran or parts of the Quran. That it's actually better as long as there's a group fulfilling the sunnah kifaya in the masjid. So if they fulfill the sunnah in the masjid, then it's actually better to pray in homes. And then Umar radiallahu anhu in the hadith of Muwatta about not sleeping on it, he said there was some difference of opinion about what he meant by that. Was it the later prayer of the night or not? And so the point is that it's not only perfectly valid to pray the tarawih in your home, it's actually, that is the preferred opinion of one of the great imams of our tradition. And so people shouldn't feel like they're missing something out in that. It's actually a very good thing to do. And then as for people who are well, the Shaykh said that it's still an obligation to fast Ramadan. شيخ ممكن أسألك عن، لأن أنا سألت عن هذا الشيء بالنسبة للأطباء الذين هم يعالجون المرضى بكوفيد، لأن قلت أنه من الواجب الصحة أنهم يصومون، لكن بالنسبة للأطباء إذا هم يحسون أنهم يحتاجون إلى تقوية أو قوت حتى ما يضعف أثناء المعالجة خوفا من هذا المرض، هل يبيح لهم الإفطار؟
هذو الأطباء طواقم الطبية والأطباء والممرضين والمسعفين هذو إذا كانوا بالصوم يخافون من أن يمرضوا، من أن تضعف مناعتهم، أو كانوا يخافون أن يضعفوا عن معالجة مرضاهم، هؤلاء يمكن أن يفطروا، أن يترخصوا. وقد نص الحنفية على أن الممرض، وأصل الكلام ذكره الطحطاوي في حاشيته على الدر المختار، إذا الممرض وإن كان ابن عابدين قال لأنه يعولهم، لكن كذلك إذا خاف تضييعهم فيجوز له أن يفطر في يوم عمله، حتى أكون واضحا في هذا.
نعم.
يعني يخاف أن يضيع المرضى، أن يضعف عن معالجة مرضاه كالأطباء في زمن كورونا الشديد.
نعم.
أو يخاف هو أيضا من أنه ستضعف مناعته ويسهل أن يصاب.
نعم.
هذا كل واحد منهم يكفي.
نعم.
يعني ظهر لنا من خلال تتبع في كلام كثير المالكية عن مسألة الخوف من المرض، أو الخوف من أو الخوف أن يكون سببا للمرض.
نعم.
وفي كلام أيضا للحنابلة، فهذا الكلام من حاصله هو ما ذكرته لك.
So, I was just saying, the Shaykh mentioned that healthy people should be fasting, and what would be the condition of a physician or a nurse or somebody working in the healthcare field that was worried about having weaker immunity if they were fasting. Is it permissible for them in that situation to break the fast? And Shaykh Abdallah said that there's two situations. One is if they were not, if they didn't have enough energy to actually fulfill their duties, so they weren't. And he said that this is actually mentioned in the Hashia of Imam Tahtawi on Durr al-Mukhtar in the Hanafi madhab, that it is permitted in that situation to break the fast, but only on the day that they're actually working. It wouldn't be on the other days. And so the same is true if the doctor felt, or the nurse, that they were going to be in a compromised situation dealing with these, they could break their fast and fast later. And that would be determined obviously by the doctor's own medical judgment on that. So he said then also, that, and the reason for the obligation is clear because there's no clarification after God's clarification, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran that the fasting has been prescribed for you, that it's an obligation. Kutiba alaykum as-siyam, and kutiba here means it's an obligation for you to fulfill it. And then he said that people should not allow for their religious emotions to dictate their actions. And he said that he's not faulting them for those emotions, because those emotions come out of their religiosity and very often out of their piety. And so they're not negative instincts. But he said we really can't allow our religious emotions to override the reasonableness of our religion. And so that's very important, that we should be following the guidelines of the experts. This is the religious tradition. This is our tradition. So government and the epidemiologists, the guidelines that they set forth, are very important to follow. And finally, Shaykh said that it's very important to make dua, that it's extremely important that people make dua because Ramadan, the gates of heaven are open. Dua is one of the times when dua is particularly effective. So ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to remove this tribulation on humanity, not just for the Muslims, but for all of humanity, because we're an ummah for all of humanity. And he said that especially on the night of power, this is a very important night for dua. And finally, Shaykh said it's extremely important that people not do this, do not suspect the decree of God or judge the decree of God. Don't think that you can understand what's behind all of these things, that the human perspective is limited, that we have a certain limitation on our view. Even when we look out, we can only see what's in front of us. We don't see what's behind us. So we don't have this ability to see the whole picture. And because of that, like just in the case of right and wrong, Allah has given us a normative understanding of right and wrong, so we can determine based on things, but we can't penetrate the right and wrongness of circumstances. The only thing that can determine that is the consequences of those situations. And so something can actually look like it's a horrible thing, but in the end, you realize, oh, that actually there was a great reason for that. And he said you can give many examples of this, but the most obvious examples are things that outwardly appear. You can have the exact same situation where one person burns down a piece of land in order to prepare it for, to make it more fertile and prepare it for growth, and another person burns it down as a destructive act. So in the very same act, if you just looked at those two acts, they would be identical, but one is for good and the other is for evil. And the same is true, like a surgeon can cut off a hand to save a life from gangrene, whereas another person can cut off the hand in an act of aggression. So it's the exact same form, but two completely different meanings based on the intentions behind it. And only God knows these things. We just don't know these things. And so we have to trust in our benevolent and merciful Lord that what He's doing is for the good of humanity and not to harm us, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants good for us. And so it's very important not to do that.
لا نقلل من الآلام، من آلام الناس، ولكن كمثال الذي أعطيت الذي يقطع أيدي، وهناك مثال جراح الذي يجرح القلب، أو الشخص المعتدي الذي يعتدي على واحد ويجرحه بسكين. لكن أيضا نحن عندنا البعد الآخر وهو بعد الآخرة. فالناس الذين يموتون قد يكونون في الدار الأخرى في وضع طيب، فهذا أيضا البعد الأخروي هو مهم جدا في فهم هذه الأمور. وأنت سيدي شيخ حمزة عندك كتاب الماعون في فضل الطاعون، فأنت تعرف البعد الأخروي في مثل هذه الأمور. كثير من الناس لا يهتمون بأن الناس قد يموتون لخير، قد يذهبون إلى خير، وقد يجنبون أتراح الحياة. هذه كلمة فقط عن المقادير التي يتكلم عنها الناس. فالله سبحانه وتعالى لا يحاكم على قوانين المخلوقات، خالق لا يحاكم على قوانين المخلوقات.
نعم.
فلعلي الوقت هنا عندنا تأخر، الوقت عندك أنت ما زال في الصباح، فأنت الحمد لله في وضع إن شاء الله طيب، ونحن جميعا في وضع طيب.
الله يبارك فيك شيخ.
بالنسبة للوقت تأخر، فإذا كنتم تسمحون لي بالانسحاب إذا لم تكن فيها أسئلة ملحة، وقد ترسل لي الأسئلة إن شاء الله وأنا أجيب.
أكرمك
الله. حفظكم الله وحفظ الجميع والمسلمين وأهل الأرض. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. Alhamdulillah. So Shaykh was just saying that finally the last dimension that people often, especially in the materialistic world that we're in, people often miss that the other dimension of these events. And so people die, but very often somebody could be in great immunocompromised conditions or very sick and suffering a lot, and this actually becomes a great blessing for them when they leave the world and go to a much better condition. So again, we can't judge things, especially with the otherworldly dimension. The Shaykh mentioned a book that Ibn Hajar wrote called Help During the Time of Plague, and in that book he mentions the virtues that come out of plagues and pestilences and these things that afflict human beings. And one of the hadiths that he mentions in there is that while the plague might be sometimes involve great harm, the Prophet ﷺ said for the somebody who believes in God and trusts in God, the plague is actually a mercy for them, epidemics and things like that. And then finally he just said that you cannot, God is not asked about what he does, لا يحاكم في قوانين المخلوقات, that he can't be taken to account or to court. He's the judge of judges, and so we can't question the way that the universe and its laws that are working in it, that have been set up by God. We can't question why they are the way they are, other than that we trust that God has described himself as merciful and benevolent, and we trust in God that what he does for his creation.
Jazakallah.
Shaykh also said that it's late where he is, and whereas it's morning where I am, and it's early evening where Qari Asim is. So he apologized, but he said if you do have questions, you can write them, submit them, and he'll get to them later. So he just says thank you and just salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Alaikum salam, Shaykh.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. We are most grateful for your wisdom.
Oh, yeah. So Qari Asim.
Jazakallah khair to Fadilul Shaykh Abdullah bin Bayyah for his wisdom, helping us to navigate through some of the questions that COVID-19 has presented. For instance, can we pray Jummah at home? How do we perform tarawih prayer? And how is Ramadan going to be during this pandemic? And as I mentioned, that Shaykh often focuses on